Hello, my dear wonderful listeners, my dear wonderful subscribers, and everyone who has kept faith with this channel. I thank you for abiding with us, and I'm welcoming you to this night's edition of Marriage Without Tears. My name is Dr. Felix Okeke. I'm your marriage counselor and coach. I have had situations whereby partners in marriage come to my office and they are almost at daggers drawn simply because they lack an adequate understanding of what is happening in their partner's lives. No matter how you look at it, if you are in marriage and you trust God to keep that marriage till death do you part, you want to last a lifetime in that marriage, I must tell you that there are changes that are happening in the life of your partner that you must also adapt or at least understand in order to move forward. These partners were accusing themselves. The woman said, oh, if the man is not giving it to me the way he used to, then he must be getting it from outside. The man said, well, I am not getting it from anywhere. I'm more focused on my business. I'm more focused on what I'm doing. I don't know what you are talking about. And the woman is busy accusing the man. These are couples that are already in their 50s. And the woman is still expecting that their sexual life should be the same way it used to be when they were in their 20s and 30s. That spontaneity, that kind of passion, that kind of crazy physical attraction. She was still looking at it from that perspective. But a whole lot of things was also already happening in the life of the man. So tonight we are looking at the subject of sex and the aging process. Sex and the aging process. If you're a man out there married, this is a topic you must listen to because it will make a whole lot of difference, especially when you come to understand precisely what is happening in the life of your partner. First of all, I would like to say that as you are aging, it does not mean that your sexual passion will disappear or will die. No, it simply means that it is going through a process of transformation. No, it simply means that you have to learn how to move from the physical to the emotional and the mental perspective in order to achieve that kind of passion you used to have. And I also want you to know that if you have love and understanding and patience with one another, you can still achieve high quality conjugation, high quality sexual intercourse. You can still achieve that if you have if you actually learn how to understand your spouse, how to understand his moods, how to understand her emotions, you can still achieve the same thing. So that is where we're looking at. And of course, I also want you to know that inside of you biologically, a lot of things are going on already. After the age of 20, the man starts losing what we call testosterone, the hormone that is in charge of sexual passion. He starts losing it at the rate of 1% every year. 1% every year. And then you now imagine what will happen when the man is at 50. That means he has lost 30% already. So if he was operating at optimum when he was 20 or 25, at the age of 55 or at the age of 50 or 55, he's already 30% down. You understand? He's now operating at 70, and as he's going to 60 or 70, he's now plummeting to as low as 50 or even 45%. So the testosterone level will continue going down for a whole lot of reasons anyway. And then the woman also have what we call estrogen, the same kind of hormone that enables the woman to feel horny all the time. It begins to also decline in the woman at almost the same pace. That's why we have menopause. You enter the menopause, the woman becomes drier, down there all the time. Is no longer as eager to go into a sexual intercourse the way she used to. A couple in marriage must understand that these things are happening within their lives so that they take proactive action how to adjust in these seasons of life. When it comes to sexual frequency, you will understand with me that when you are younger, in those days when you were in your 20s and 30s, when you were in your early 40s perhaps, you used to have it all the time, sometimes 3 times, 4 times, even 6 times in a week. But as the years are going up, it's no longer as frequent as it used to. What will you use to occupy those, times? Use quality communication. You are able to, render unto your spouse acts of kindness, something that makes him or her know deep down that beyond sex, that this person is still in love with me. You need to know how to give out gifts, how to make him or her happy, how to keep in touch, how to use the process of touch one another, being with one another all the time, expressing your inner emotions to one another. Even though sexual activity is not taking, is not happening at that point in time, but actually the climate, the atmosphere you have built around you still shows, it still connotes that you are still in love. That's more than enough to stem the tide of conflict. Very important also. Quality communication, giving attention, doing whatever you can to get the other person be comfortable in your love. It makes all the difference, so that when the sexual enterprise comes up, it will flow out of some of these things you are doing, to make your love life, wonderful. As you advance in years, there are critical things you also need to be doing. Create an atmosphere of humor. Everybody likes to laugh. People like to. When you create that kind of atmosphere that makes your spouse eager to laugh and enjoy life with you, it makes all the difference. Everything is not banking up and down. There are things you can create in your home that will bring a lot of joy. Create a lot of spiritual confluence, a kind of spiritual climate, something that will make your spouse want to share some certain scriptures with you, try to pray with you, try to engage in acts that bring you closer together. All that is needed are things that brings you closer together. Internal connection, that connectivity, it will always make all the difference when you are getting on in years. These are things that you do in order to keep the fire of love aglow in your love life. Very important. Very, very important. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. There's the red button by my side, this red button here. Once you click it, you become subscribed and you become part of this awesome channel. And I also want you to do one thing. At the end of this very broadcast, I want you to give me a comment, share some certain things about how you and your spouse are growing in love, how the things you are doing to make your love life better. As you are advancing in years, what are the things you are putting in place to ensure that you do not run into conflict situations in the area of sex, even as you are advancing in years? I want you to just, scribble some of these things as a comment and send to me. I will appreciate it. Also, lifestyle changes you need to make. Seriously speaking, you need to learn how to sleep well. There was a time I got so engrossed in my work. I got so busy trying to, write a few books, try to edit a few materials, try to do one thing or the other. And I discovered that I was sleeping till, I will be awake till around 3 a.m. in the morning before I go to bed. I did it for over 2 to 3 months. And I discovered that I was losing weight, seriously losing weight over a period of time. And I was wondering what exactly is happening. It took my daughter to point out this is exactly what I was doing. I was losing weight. I was sleeping just about 2 hours in a day. I would go to bed around 3 a.m. By 5:30, I was already up, say my prayers, and I can't go to bed again after that. It happened over a long period of time. At that point in time also, I was no longer touching my wife at all. And she has complained and complained and given up. A whole lot of things was happening. You need to learn how to sleep well, as you are aging. You also need to know how to exercise well. One of the things that happens to us when we are growing up in years is that we tend to sit, we tend to becoming dormant. We become dormant. You wake up in the morning, you shuttle here and there, you come and sit down. No, it doesn't make sense. It will not give your blood the kind of leverage it needs to, work you up. So you need to actually know how to exercise. You also need to eat well. Even if you don't eat the 3 square meals in a day, but let your meal be balanced enough so that these are areas where you pick energy in order to do your work. Because like I said earlier, that you are getting older in years does not mean that your sexual activities just have to be wiped off the board. No, no, no. You also need to learn how to manage stress. A lot of older people are really burdened by a whole lot of things. I mean, there are bills to fulfill, there are rents to pay, there are all manner of things, children's school fees, this and that, a whole lot of burdens upon most people. But at the end of the day, most couples rarely sleep well at night. But you need to learn how to sleep well despite all the burdens around it, because worries does not add anything to the outcome except the negative side. Worries can only bring sickness and sorrow, can only undermine your physical and spiritual and even emotional energy. So you need to step down on your worries, know how to manage stress. At the end of the day, every night, know how to carry your wife in your arms. Even if you're not making love with her, know how to relate with her. Sleep well, wake up in one another's arms. It makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. And I would also like to talk about the spiritual aspect also. Most of us don't know that marriage and sexual intercourse is not just a physical thing. It is also a very spiritual thing. It has its spiritual symbolism. You need to understand that, because it's a place where God has provided for you as a couple to unite together and build one another as one. So even though certain things may not happen physically with you, because a whole lot of older people are having problems with poor erection, they don't have the passion anymore to go in that kind of stride that they used to go before in terms of sex. But I can tell you, if we have done some of the things I have said earlier, you will still have a wonderful relationship, and you still have a union that is built on love and trust and commitment, because that is what the sexual enterprise is actually meant to achieve in the long run, for you and your spouse to become together as one, in love, in commitment, in sacrifice, in joy. If you understand that, then you have to build also the spiritual aspect of your love life. Ensure that once in a while you gather yourself together as partners in marriage and share the scripture and look at what God is saying concerning you, concerning your spouse. As the years go on, you also know that you have a bigger partner in the heavens who is monitoring your affairs and who is also being blessed by the way you live with one another. It makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. If you're in your 20s, please never allow work. A whole lot of young people are so eager to make it in life. They are so eager to achieve great things that they sometimes undermine the joy of their spouses. They undermine the joy of their marriage. Please don't let business or career pursuits deny you the essence of what you are doing, the essence of quality family life, the essence of being with your spouse and giving value to your marriage. Please don't allow that. Always have time for your spouse. That spontaneity that makes, that creates the kind of fire that is the lives of young couples. It is that thing that you will remember as the years goes by. So anytime that you have the privilege to get together, please do it. It doesn't matter where. Nobody says that lovemaking must be at the bedroom. No, it can happen anywhere. So do it with joy. Then, of course, if in your 30s and 40s, I would also like to know that the ground is shifting somehow. It may no longer be as vibrant as it used to be, because like I said earlier, some of the things in your body are changing. You need to know how to adapt. You need to know how to begin to look at life differently. It's no longer just about the physical aspect of life. There is the spiritual aspect of life. There is the emotional aspect of life. You need to build all these things, because all these things coming together is what gives life its meaning, especially if in your 30s and 40s. And when you are in your 40s and 50s, I want you to know that life is becoming more refreshing by the day. I want you to know that your sexual life can be slow. It can be slow, but it can be deeper and it can be more meaningful, especially if you have a way of holding your spouse and trying to understand him or her deeper. Forget about all the accusations. The accusations are not relevant, because if you love one another, you can always understand one another, and you can also always reach out to one another. Find out whatever is the main thing that is happening in the heart of your spouse and add meaning to it. Learn how to understand one another. Learn how to build patience. because it will no longer be as vibrant as it used to be. I use my own case as an example. It's no longer as vibrant as it used to be. I remember in those days when we used to make love anywhere, wherever. But these days it's a different thing. You wake up in the morning, you say hi, you kiss one another, she moves on, and we may not remember love making for a while. So it happens all the time. It's not healing in your own home. So stop accusing one another. Learn how to understand one another, and build on your children, and learn how to also minister to, communicate with younger couples around you who are also having some challenges in the area of sexuality, in the area of their marriage. Very important. And when you are now in your 60s and 70s, wow, that means you have actually run the race, and you are actually profiting, and you are actually overcoming all the hurdles. You're already a mentor to many, and I don't expect you to be in a conflicting situation with your spouse when it comes to management of your sexual life. But I also want you to know that you must indulge in frequent exercises, eat well, sleep well, be a better listener, and God will abide with you, and your marriage will be glorious. I thank you very much for actually taking our time to listen to me, and I believe, God, that you have learned one or two things in this edition. And like I said earlier, if there are things I have not said, or things that you want to add to what I've said, or there are comments you want to make concerning what I said, please do it in the comment section. It will be my pleasure to hear from you. Once again, my name is Felix Okeke, and I say have a wonderful weekend.